What's going on, everybody? Continuing with the book of Genesis, we are picking up with chapter 4, Cain and Abel. Now, in the last video, we covered the first 3 chapters of Genesis. You know that we covered the creation of the earth and the creation of humanity and humanity's fall into sin. So now we are going to dive into the story of Cain and Abel, which are Adam and Eve's first 2 children. So here we go. Adam made love to his wife Eve, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Cain. She said, "With the help of the Lord I have brought forth a man." Later she gave birth to his brother Abel. Now Abel kept flocks, and Cain worked the soil. In the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord, and Abel also brought an offering, fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain and his offering he did not look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." Now Cain said to his brother Abel, "Let's go out to the field." While they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" "I don't know," he replied. "Am I my brother's keeper?" The Lord said, "What have you done?" "What have you done?" "Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are under a curse and driven from the ground, which opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield crops. It will no longer yield its crops for you. You will be a restless wanderer on the earth." Cain said to the Lord, "My punishment is more than I can bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me." But the Lord said to him, "Not so. Anyone who kills Cain will suffer vengeance 7 times over." Then the Lord put a mark on Cain, so that no one who found him would kill him. So Cain went out from the Lord's presence and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Cain made love to his wife, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. Cain was then building a city, and he named it after his son Enoch. To Enoch was born Arad, and Arad was the father of Mahujael. And Mahujael was the father of Methuselah. And Methuselah was the father of Lamech. Lamech married 2 women, one named Adah and the other Zillah. Adah gave birth to Jabal, who was the father of those who live in tents and raise livestock. His brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all who played stringed instruments and pipes. Zillah also had a son, Tubal-Cain, who forged all kinds of tools out of bronze and iron. Tubal-Cain's sister was Naamah. Lamech said to his wives, "Adah and Zillah, listen to me. Wives of Lamech, hear my words. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for injuring me. If Cain is avenged 7 times, then Lamech 77 times. Adam made love to his wife again, and she gave birth to a son and named him Seth, saying, "God has granted me another child in place of Abel, since Cain killed him." Seth also had a son, and he named him Enosh. All that time, people began to call on the name of the Lord. At that time, people began to call on the name of the Lord. Chapter 4, verses 1 through 5. Even though Adam and Eve were exiled from the garden, God continued to bless them. With the Lord's help, Eve gave birth to 2 sons, Cain and Abel. Both sons grew up hearing stories about God, so both knew that they should bring offerings to their Creator. In the course of time, both boys came ready to worship, but while the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering, he did not have regard for Cain and his offering. What made the difference between the 2 offerings? We get a clue from the sort of offerings they brought. Cain offered produce from the ground, but we know that the ground was under the curse. This suggests Cain had aligned himself with the curse. The Apostle John points this out, calling Cain evil even before he killed his brother. See 1 John 3:12. "Do not be like Cain, who belonged to the evil one and murdered his brother. And why did he murder him? Because his own actions were evil and his brothers were righteous." Abel, on the other hand, was exercising dominion over the animals, as God had commanded, as well as offering the required sacrifice of shed blood. See Hebrews 9:22. In fact, the law requires that nearly everything be cleansed with blood, and without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness. True worship must be what God will receive, not merely what we want to give. So God rejected Cain and accepted Abel because one was evil and the other righteous. Verse 5 through 7. Because God rejected his offering, Cain became both furious and despondent. mad and sad at the same time. That makes for a dangerous combination. God gave Cain an opportunity to break out of his emotional funk, reminding him that if he did what is right, he would be accepted. The cure for emotional problems is found in spiritual realignment. Verse 8 through 16. Rather than listening to God's counsel and choosing to worship according to God's pattern, Cain nursed his negative emotions until they manifested as murder. There is an eerie familiarity in what follows, echoing the interaction between God and Adam after the fall. Like Adam, Cain sinned. God asked him a question not so that he could get information, but so that he could give Cain a chance to accept responsibility for his actions. Like Adam, the son shirked that responsibility, brushing off what he'd done. And just as he did with Adam, God punished Cain. This time, instead of the ground merely becoming cursed, it will never again give you its yield, God said, making Cain a restless wanderer on the earth. Cain was cast out, not just from the garden like his father, but from the Lord's presence altogether. Verse 17 through 24. What follows Cain's punishment is the tale of two families, a theme that shows up repeatedly throughout Genesis. Unfortunately, Cain's murderous ways infected his family line. By the time we get to his great-great-grandson, we find a man bragging about his own violence. I killed a man for wounding me, Lamech boasted. Notice, too, that Lamech was talking to his wives, plural. God's perfect design is only 4 chapters old, and already we find people reveling in bloodshed and flouting his design for marriage. Chapter 5, From Adam to Noah. This is the written account of Adam's family line. When God created mankind, he made them in the likeness of God. He created them male and female and blessed them, and he named them mankind when they were created. When Adam had lived 130 years, he had a son in his own likeness, in his own image, and he named him Seth. After Seth was born, Adam lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Adam lived a total of 930 years, and then he died. When Seth had lived 105 years, he became the father of Enosh. After he became the father of Enosh, Seth lived 807 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Seth lived a total of 912 years, and then he died. When Enosh had lived 90 years, he became the father of Kenan. After he became the father of Kenan, Enosh lived 815 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Enosh lived a total of 905 years, and then he died. When Kenan had lived 70 years, he became the father of Mahalalel. After he became the father of Mahalalel, Kenan lived 840 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Kenan lived a total of 910 years, and then he died. When Mahalalel had lived 65 years, he became the father of Jared. After he became the father of Jared, Mahalalel lived 830 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Mahalalel lived a total of 895 years, and then he died. When Jared had lived 162 years, he became the father of Enoch. After he became the father of Enoch, Jared lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Jared lived a total of 962 years, and then he died. When Enoch had lived 65 years, he became the father of Methuselah. After he became the father of Methuselah, Enoch walked faithfully with God 300 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Enoch lived a total of 365 years. Enoch walked faithfully with God, then he was no more, because God took him away. When Methuselah had lived 187 years, he became the father of Lamech. After he became the father of Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Methuselah lived a total of 969 years, and then he died. When Lamech had lived 182 years, he had a son. He named him Noah, and said, "He will comfort us in the labor and painful toil of our hands caused by the ground the Lord has cursed." After Noah was born, Lamech lived 595 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Lamech lived a total of 777 years, and then he died. After Noah was 500 years old, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Chapter 4, verse 25 through chapter 5, verse 32. In contrast to Cain's line, God raised up another family tree in place of Abel. God granted Eve a son named Seth. Seth typified the same type of worship as his deceased brother Abel, because in connection with Seth, people began to call on the name of the Lord. The prideful way of worship, Cain's way, see Jude 11, points to itself. The humble way of worship, Abel and Seth's way, calls out to God. It is no surprise then that when God wanted to choose an obedient servant hundreds of years later, that servant Noah would come from Seth's line. And that is the end of the commentary on chapter 4 and chapter 5. Next up, we'll be getting into chapter 6 and chapter 7, which have to deal with Noah in the beginning of Noah creating the ark and the prophecy of the great flood coming in to wipe everything clean so God can start anew. So God bless everyone. I will see y'all next time. Be sure to read the scriptures for yourself. It is very, very important. Continue to start the new year off right by getting right with God and reading the scriptures, talking with him, building a relationship, and then spreading his message, spreading his word. That's what we're meant to do. So God bless. I will see y'all next time.